ever seen a family of the Middle Eastern descent in a part of the Islam religion board a plane? Have you ever felt a pang of dislike, fear, and hatred towards these people? Well, this is Islamophobia, and ever since the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center, many people of the Islam religion and Middle Eastern community have faced prejudices. There have been multiple incidents in the recent months that enforce the rise of Islamophobia on planes. Tahira Ahmad is an employee at Northwestern University who was on board a United Airlines flight where she requested an unopened can of soda, which seems normal to most people. The attendant refused due to safety issues, but she then gave a Caucasian male an unopened beverage. That makes no sense, but we will proceed. There have been more incidents including Hakima Abdul, who was removed from Southwest Airlines for her religious clothing, and Kuraldeen Mazumi for speaking Arabic. Islamophobia is outrageous because it is a hatred for people who necessarily don't do anything wrong. Many Muslims are treated horrible on planes and in general due to one person's act, and you see this daily on the news. Everyone has a right to be treated in a good manner, and not to be generalized as a group of horrible people. A horrible act done by a person does not define a whole community. Islamophobia affects many lives, and this needs to be fixed so everyone can be treated as the person they are, especially on planes where everyone has the right to fly. Post 9/11, Muslims have faced many harsh situations in this world that God wouldn't want from his followers. 28% reported they have been acted suspicious, 28% have been called harsh names, 21% have been singled out at airports, 13% have been singled out by officers, and 6% have been threatened. These reports have changed since 2007, and this is one poll of many that states that the hatred is still real and it is still disgusting. Recently, on a Southwest Airlines, Hakima Abdul, who was a Muslim Maryland woman, was removed from a plane for wanting to change seats due to a religious issue, but the worker removed her because they were uncomfortable with her action, and her clothing, and how she was acting. This violates what God wanted from us humans. God created us to be in communion with him and to spread love around. He wanted us to love our neighbors as ourselves, but the employee feared and treated this woman in a rude and belittling way. No one would want to be treated like this, so why would you treat somebody else this way? She showed a prejudice that God wouldn't want for people. Another instance of Islamophobia shown on a plane is with Tahira Ahmad, who was on a United Airlines flight where she asked for a can of unopened Diet Coke. The attendant refused, quoting, "It can be used as a weapon." This is ridiculous because she then gave a Caucasian male an unopened beverage. This does not show equality, and this shows a prejudice. The situation violates Tahira's human dignity. Everyone is viewed as supposing to have infinite worth, and the worker shows an act of discrimination towards her, and she is representing a stereotype of terrorism being equated with Islam. This ruins the human dignity of the woman due to her attitude and Tahira. God wanted us to preserve the dignity of all and to view all as a piece of God, but this hatred does not. Another violation to the eyes of Catholic Church and the means of Islamophobia is against the precept of an ordered society and the natural law. The worker did not treat her equally due to showing a prejudice towards her and giving soda to the other man. It's horrible that someone can have this much hatred in their heart. It also goes against the golden rule. In Matthew 7:12, "And everything do to others as you would have them do to you." And in Islam, it also states, "Not one of you truly believes until you wish for others what you wish for yourself." From the Prophet Muhammad. No one would want to be belittled and embarrassed for who they are. How would you feel if you were kicked off a plane for no reason? Iman Saad Shabli were forced off a plane from Chicago due to safety issues. How would you feel being treated horribly for doing nothing wrong? In the new law of love, it goes deeper than the old law. In the second great commandment, it says, "Love your neighbor as yourself." Kicking someone off a plane for no reason, beside the stereotypical view, does not show love being wanted by God and love being produced. Workers' action go against the third and fourth Beatitudes. The Beatitudes want us to become more righteous and to sacrifice our comfort for the good of others, and to treat others with dignity and the respect that they deserve, but the workers fail to do that to Tahir and Iman based on their biased opinions towards these people. Those who are belittled for their religion and the race that they are violates what the church wants. Romans 12:10 states, "Be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Honor one another above yourselves." This doesn't show this because these workers wouldn't be treating these people this way if that was the way they wanted to be treated. They would treat them with the respect that they deserve, and they would treat them the way they would want to be treated. Nobody wants to be belittled. Nobody wants to be treated different. Nobody wants to be embarrassed because of the religion they believe in. Harris situation, the act done by the worker goes against Illinois Human Rights Act. The Illinois Human Rights Act states that there can be no discrimination in a public accommodation. While she was on a plane leaving Chicago, she was faced with discrimination. The lady refused to give her a can of unopened soda, but then gave a Caucasian male an unopened soda. How do you describe that? How do you explain it? Her race, her religion, his race, his religion. There's a source of favoritism there, and it's not right. And it goes against the Illinois Rights Act. The act of Islamophobia on planes is sinful. It is sinful because it shows that people fear, people treat people unequally, and they belittle them for the reason of their own opinion. They belittle these people because of their religion, for their skin color, and for the religious clothing they wear. There is no explanation on why you treat somebody this way. Everybody deserves to be treated equal. Everybody deserves to have the same rights as each other. And just because an act done by a group of people, it does not go for everybody. This goes against what God desired, to live in a loving communion with each other, and it represents sin of commission because the attendant refused to give to Hera a pop, which is a part of her needs on the plane, and a passenger created sin of omission because when a passenger opened his mouth and said that she would use this as a weapon, nobody stood up for her, nobody made sure she was okay, and nobody made sure she was being treated equal, which is what God wants. God wants everybody to be treated in a loving way, and he wants everybody to be equal. Pope Francis has made a comment on Islam. He stated that people need to stop equating Islam with violence because it is wrong. And one of the main reasons that people are Islamophobic is because they have a fear of Islam. In Mazumi's situation, the vice that is shown is that the woman is putting his language with something meaning bad. The virtue that can be put in his situation is justice. Islamophobia in general and Islamophobia on planes increase the amount of people who suffer to anxiety and depression. Psychologist Joseph D. Hovey, Ph.D. of the University of Toledo, also examined anxiety and depression rates among more than 600 adult Arab Americans in 35 states. The majority said that the increased amount has gone up because of the way they are treated, and they were scared of the way they would be perceived by the public. Islamophobia on planes and in general is such a huge issue. This outrages me because my brother was once a part of this problem. He was boarding a plane to go to Barbados to have the time of his life. And then his insulin pump went off because of the metal. But they were fine. They believed him until they looked at his last name, which is Abid. This also outrages me because I believe everyone should be treated equally and nicely because one act doesn't define a whole group of people. And it sickens me that people have to be hurt in such a rude way by this prejudice that they face. When they just want to go. Many people ask me why I don't have a fear when I see somebody of the Middle Eastern descent on a plane. Well, many people have this fear when they see them on a plane because they have a rudeness that shows through. And I don't get scared because I know everyone is not the same. I know everyone doesn't want to do anything bad. And I know that you can't relate one person to something that somebody else did and equate them with badness. Yeah. Islamophobia is an action that happens in general. It happens in restaurants, it happens on trains, it happens everywhere. But I chose that it happens on planes because ever since 9/11, many Muslims have been linked to the name terrorist, and this leads to much Islamophobia, which was expressed during the Mazumi situation, the Tahara situation, and the family who was kicked off the plane. People need to take a stand and learn how to respect everybody, no matter their race, their religion, what they wear, how they look. You need to learn how to treat everybody with respect and treat them how you'd want to be treated.